Oh, I gotta restart this capture real quick. Sorry, guys. Our capture's messed up. Alright, a lot better. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. Welcome to the Week Ahead News Show, episode 53. Cool number. It's currently March 9th, 2026, right after Daylight Savings, spring ahead time. So, fun for that. Lost an hour over Sunday, yesterday. Hope everyone's having a good day on the Lee Doodle channel. With me, Liam, my good friend Tommy.
Well, everybody, thanks for having me, Liam. I don't know if we're going to be able to do another one of these, though. I don't know about you. I got my duffel bags packed in the back. I might be getting shipped off to the Middle East. So we're going to have to maybe find some people to do this show next week, if we're going over there and fighting for oil. So
True, we'll have to see, Tom. We'll have to see. We could be live from the Middle East. That would be pretty lit, too.
Live from the Middle East.
Hope everyone's having a great night. Had a good Monday. It was nice weather today. Things are looking better here in Ohio. Be going over the weather. Pull it up on my app. Today we had a high of 70, low of 40. So nice day, nice and sunny. Partly cloudy. Hope you enjoyed the day. Went outside, enjoyed some of that sun. Tomorrow we have a 50% chance of rain. High of 69, low of 53. Wednesday 100% chance of rain. High of 68, low of 42. Thursday a 70% chance of rain. High of 42, low of 30. Friday 45% chance of rain. High of 53, low of 30. Saturday, partly cloudy, 42, 28. Sunday, 60% chance of rain, high of 67, back up to a heat, low of 37. Next Monday, looks like we have about 65% chance of rain, 41. High, 64 low. Next Tuesday, 35% chance of snow, so it's coming back. Our last frost date's around March, so be careful about that. It's normally 2 weeks into March is our last frost date. 35% chance of snow, high of 26, low of 17. So getting back into it. Sunrise, getting better with the time change. First light today was at 7:16 a.m. Sunrise today was at 7:44 a.m. Sunset today at 7:23 p.m. So because of an hour ahead, we're losing more time in the morning, but way better for night. Have way more time after work, daylight time. Last light at 7:50 for about 11 hours and 38 minutes total daylight. The moon right now is in waxing gibbous. It's about 63% chance of illumination. The next moonrise is at 2:12 a.m. Next full moon is in 24 days. Tommy will be going over stocks for the last 5 days. We still have stocks for today above us. Looks like minor gains, about 0.9 to 1.3% gains all around the board. So kind of cool to see.
Yeah, so Dow, last 5 days, down 752 points. That's about 1.5%. S&P is down 4 points, 0.06%. NASDAQ's up 403 points, 1.81%. And the Dow had a very, very, very bad week. So the Dow lost, it had its worst week in 11 months. Saw over 1.4 trillion in market value erased because of the war and the consequences of it. So we are seeing a little bit of repercussions in that regard.
Dang, sucks to see. Big loss for the Dow. So we'll go right into it. We'll have a quick episode today. We'll try to get done at like 9:15, 9:10 if we can. It's a funny topic. How Trump fired Kristi Noem as Homeland Security Secretary. We kind of knew once he got hired in that she was going to do bad stuff and probably be a fall girl. President Trump announced on March 5th, 2026 that Kristi Noem will step down as for Homeland Security Secretary effective March 31st. End of the month, 2026. Awesome to see. For new successful, he tapped Republican Senator Markwayne Mullin. What if my first name was Markwayne? Of Oklahoma to replace her as her next DHS secretary. New role for Noem. No is not leaving the administration entirely. Obviously, they had to make a position up for her. She's appointed as a special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Not America, Americas. It's Captain America's crazy aunt. We like to talk about a new security initiative focused on the Western Hemisphere. Sorry, Tom, go on.
No, and Liam, I just copy and pasted the logo of this great new organization to the docket. If you wanted to look at that and share it, it looks fantastic. And by fantastic, I mean AI slop.
That does look like AI slop. It's hard to see, but it is crap, guys. Look it up if you can. They probably got a quick view of it. That is crazy. That's crazy,
the shield
bro.
Of the looks like a government agency right there. Like, oh my god.
It actually looks like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from like
I know.
Yeah, Rivals. Not Rivals. Marvel. That's just dumb. Of
Is this
course,
the U.S. government or the Marvel MCU?
exactly. That is crazy dumb. Wow. The reason for the change, while Trump publicly praised her spectacular results, saying we're getting only all the criminals, we're only getting 14% people you're deporting as criminals on the border. The move follows a period of intense scrutiny, congressional pressure. Noam has recently faced combative testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee regarding a $220 million tax-funded ad campaign that featured her image. Operation controversies. Her tenure was marked by backlash following the fatal shootings of 2 U.S. citizens by federal agents during an immigration enforcement surge in Minneapolis. Internal friction as well. Reports indicate that Trump was displeased with her testimony, suggesting he had personally signed off on specific high-cost advertising contracts, which the White House has actually denied. Personal scandals. She has also faced questioning in Congress regarding the alleged ethical lapses and personal conduct involving advisor Corey Lodowinski, and we talked about a little bit too about her jet having a nice bed for him and her in it. Apparently, department impact. The leadership change comes during a potential DHS shutdown caused by funding shutoff and standoff in Congress, fueled by Democratic and some Republican opposition to the department's recent enforcement tactics. So that's good to see. I'm happy she's out of here. She really needed to get out. I knew, like we talked about before, she was going to be a fall girl. Fall man, however you want to put it. I mean, she's a woman, fall lady, fall woman. But it's just dumb. See, like her testimony, she's a lot like Pam Bondi and Levitt. They're just brainwashed. So I'm happy she's over now. And like a lot of this was kind of like this ad campaign spectacle. Like when me and Tommy talked about her, not people in Chicago not letting her use public restrooms for the city in City Hall or something, and it's just like she has to record everything instead of do her actual job. And she's not very smart either. People didn't like her. I mean, that's why Trump wasn't going to make her VP. So I'm happy to see it. Chrissy Noem, or a lot of people like calling her like Nomi or whatever. She's just a bad lady. She killed a dog for no reason. So she got go out in Congress for that recently too. So I love to see that. And for fatal shootings of American citizens and just for tactics is dumb. I think more of it's just Trump, and he's just going to get another person to keep doing the same thing. But we do also have to go after them and Trump for it. So kill both heads of a Hydra at once. Easy money. What do you think, Tom?
I mean, Kirstie Noem is the worst head of DHS in American history. Her tenure will be remembered primarily because of the unlawful and unjustified killings of U.S. citizens. It's completely disgusting. What happened under her watch, and she was so incompetent and so bad at her job. Even Donald Trump realized that. And that's saying something because Donald Trump is by no mean, competent or good. So listen, I'm glad that Kirsty's gone. I do worry that, that someone, this senator that's coming in, maybe he'll just be just as bad as Kirstie Noem, but more efficient with the death and destruction that could get rolled out here. So I don't know, but just looking at the facts as they lay before me right now, certainly Kirstie Noem had no business being DHS secretary. She had no business being in Washington. So I'm glad that she's gone. Just a quick small tangent here. I was while you were talking, Liam, I was looking at the Shields of the Americas Wikipedia page as I dropped that logo in. But also, guess where this organization, this very serious organization, is headquartered?
Mm.
Is it
Is it not in America?
Some Trump National Miami Resort and Spa?
Mar-a-Lago, bro.
Yeah,
That's funny. She's going to be in Mar-a-Lago just chilling.
Doral, Miami. Trump National Doral, Miami. So, this is the type of administration we're dealing with here. We're just setting up government agencies with Marvel MCU like logos, and then we're headquartering them in the golf courses and the golf resorts of our president, who was not in the Epstein files, if you believe him, which you shouldn't. It's ridiculous.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's all I really had to say about that. I'm glad she's gone, for sure.
Agreed. Are you ready to go into our international one topic today, Tom?
Yeah. So, make this fairly brief here. So, little update on the current war between the United States and Israel and Iran. So, according to Axios, um, on March 8th, the U.S. and Israel have discussed sending special operation forces into Iran to secure its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The goal of the mission would be to secure or neutralize Iran's estimated 450 kilograms of 60% or greater enriched uranium. Experts believe this material could be further enriched to weapons grade 90% within weeks, providing enough material for approximately 11 nuclear bombs. So essentially, what the Iranians have been doing is, you know, you hear 60%, 90% is weapons grade. Um, Energy grade is below 60%, so that they sort of keep their uranium enriched to a point where it's not like immediately, um, it's not an immediate 5 alarm fire, but it could be easily enriched further to weapons grade without too much effort. So Um, officials emphasize that the discussion focuses on limited special operations, small raids, rather than large scale ground invasions. Um, so this raid would have two primary options: extraction, physically removing the uranium from Iran, and dilution, which we were talking about earlier, Liam. Um, Bringing nuclear experts, potentially including IAEA, that's the International Atomic Energy Association scientists, to dilute the materials on site. We were kind of joking around beforehand. I just imagine a bunch of soldiers with, distilled water, just dumping into a bunch of uranium. But the operation would likely only occur at a later stage of the conflict, once U.S. and Israeli officials are confident Iran's military capabilities have been sufficiently degraded to minimize threat to ground teams. Speaking on Air Force One, Trump did not rule out ground troops, stating that they would only be used for a very good reason. Regarding the nuclear stockpile specifically, he said, "At some point, maybe we will. We haven't gone after it. We wouldn't do it now. Maybe we would do it later." Most of the stockpiles is believed to be located in underground tunnels at Efishan. I can't say that. With additional portions at Fordo and Natis facilities. Recent airstrikes reportedly buried some of these nuclear materials, but intelligence suggests it may still be accessible through narrow access points. Okay. Administration is also, as discussed, the possibility of seizing Karg Island, a strategic terminal responsible for about 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. That's like an island, I believe, off the coast. So to me, what the biggest takeaway of this news story is what exactly is the strategic objective of the United States in this war in Iran? Is this is this a regime change war? Are we attempting to overthrow the Ayatollah? Which we did. Are we trying to get rid of their nuclear weapons capabilities? Are we trying to liberate the Iranian people? Are we trying to degrade their military facilities? Because what has not been sold to me, and what has not been sold to the American people, is why exactly we are taking these actions that we are taking in Iran. And and as someone who firmly believes that Iran cannot have a weapon of mass destruction under any circumstance, period. It's just extremely, extremely strange to me that we have operated this conflict for weeks without talking about the damn uranium. If I was in charge, if I was president of the United States, that'd be the first thing I would want. We have Iran here. We killed their last Ayatollah. There's a great, great, great potential for civil unrest within that country. Nobody knows exactly how this is going to play out. Is the Islamic Republic going to survive? Is it going to fracture into a civil war like Syria type situation? Are the people going to rise up? Nobody knows. But the one common thread is it's not good to have a bunch of uranium in a country that's going into chaos. Like, that's very, very clear, regardless of what happens. So what was crazy to me with this story is the fact that this hasn't already been done yet. This hasn't already been done yet. of course, I understand that this would be a difficult operation. Um, I'm sure these facilities are heavily fortified, and like the article said, and like we have covered previously, we had bombed these underground facilities as well. So I imagine, getting in and out is probably not the easiest. We could probably do it, but listen, so it's just crazy. It's just absolutely insane that nobody is clearly articulating to the American people why exactly we are taking these actions. You know, and it just all comes back down to the fact that, the Trump administration, Donald Trump, JD Vance, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, they are very deeply incompetent people who don't really understand the world. They don't really understand world affairs. They don't understand the Middle East. And you know, maybe what all this is all about is just Donald Trump's ego. Here I am talking, you know, we can't let the Iranians have nuclear weapons because I'm a serious person, but maybe Donald Trump is like, how do you spell uranium? Do they have uranium in Iran? I don't know. I don't know. Let's go drop some bombs, explosion go big. Maybe that is the strategic objective here. But no, it's just crazy. That It's just crazy that the administration has not effectively laid out to the American people what we are doing. So, what do you have to say, Liam? What do you think?
Yeah, agreed. Out of the two options, I like the dilution a little bit better. That might be easier to do and like more safe, but we'll have to see. I mean, physically we're moving it, you're already getting people there. I just don't know like physically moving. There's like with troops on the ground. So, but I do agree it's interesting them not being very clear to us, and we're still waiting on to see what happens. What except they already said they elected someone as a new Ayatollah, right?
Yeah. So, one of the guy's sons got elected as the Ayatollah, who's a hardliner. Now, how long he is for this world is yet to be known. We could very well wake up tomorrow and this guy is dead.
Yeah.
That very well could happen. So, but yeah,
Like
they
Bunga
are
Bun.
seemingly trying to keep the Islamic Republic alive. Is it gonna work? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see what keeps happening, and we'll keep talking about it week after week. We'll have to see what else we do with this as well. This is talking about this. What we're going to do for nuclear uranium they have. So I'm ready to go on to National One topic on my side. Real quick, it's a body cam video. Contradicts ICE claims and fatal shootings of a U.S. citizen, Ruben Ray Martinez, in Texas. It was newly released last week. Body camera and surveillance footage is renewing scrutiny over the 2025, so even from last year, a fatal shooting of 2023. So a 23-year-old Ruben Ray Martinez, a U.S. citizen, by federal immigration agents in South Padre, Texas. South Padre Island in Texas. And like we said, the incident happened in March 2025. Agents from ICE were assisting local authorities with traffic control following a crash. He was driving a blue Ford Fusion when agents attempted to stop his vehicle. Federal agents originally said, that Martinez intentionally drove into an agent, forcing another officer to fire in self-defense. However, the newly obtained video, obtained and published by journalists, appears to show a car moving slowly, sometimes stopped, with its brakes light on before the shooting occurred. Footage does not clearly show Martinez striking an officer. Instead, it shows the vehicle creeping forward as agents shouted commands moments before a federal agent fired 3 shots towards the driver's window. After the shooting, he was removed from the vehicle, handcuffed, and placed face down on the ground, and he died from injuries at the scene. Passengers in the car told investigators that Martinez had been drinking and was panicking, but did not attempt to hit anyone. Toxicology tests later confirmed alcohol and marijuana in his system. Grand jury reviewed the case and declined to indict the agent who fired the shots. However, the release of video footage nearly a year later, following public records lawsuits, has reignited debate over jurisdiction for the shooting and transparency from the federal authorities. They do like lying. His family and attorneys argue that footage contradicts the government's explanation and call for further investigation and reforms to federal immigration enforcement practices. Kind of is crazy they were just doing a traffic stop and wanted to stop this guy and had something crazy happen for that. So we really like. I kind of want to see what both sides are reacting from this too. You know, we see from the left, we see a lot of them. I'm talking about politicians, immigration rights groups, civil liberties organizations. It shows the excessive use of force, and like it's crazy too because it shows us how poorly trained these ICE agents are. It undermines the official claim that he innocently hit an agent, and it makes you think about all the past claims for people that have died in their custody. Concerns about lack of transparency, since the footage only became public after legal pressure and a year later. Calls for stronger oversight of federal immigration enforcement and body camera requirements for agents. The fact that, once again, he was a U.S. citizen, like the two talked about this year, is highlighted to argue the risk of aggressive enforcement tactics. So interesting in my eyes to see. Especially with how slow the car is going. We see from the right, obviously they're going to be like a pro-law enforcement side, and the pro-ICE enforcement side to be on Trump's balls. But they talk about, you know, it being a split-second self-defense decision when their lives are in danger. But like really, proper training fixes that. And a lot of cops nowadays have that proper training. Martinez is reportedly intoxicated. No one comments, but kind of all depends on the situation. For the stopping a car, like if there's a car wreck, you shouldn't be drinking and driving, and even smoking and driving. But I don't think you should get shot if you just don't listen to a cop for a car wreck. So that's my opinion on that one. So we'll have to see, because like a lot of times, like they're talking about here too, like there's like they're basically saying that critics of immigration enforcement are accused of politicizing law enforcement incidents, but a lot of times it's just like doing the right thing, and it's with everything. You know, if a building went down in Ohio, people would be talking about it. If it went down in Florida, people would be talking about it. If it went down in California, people would be like them liberals. But a lot of times it's really just doing the right thing. And we see that they lied here, so it's not really making it political, it's just doing what's right. And like we talked about before for Renee Good too, anytime someone's in a car, like you can't just fire in that car anyway unless they have a gun pointed at you. They need another weapon besides that car. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I'm kind of tired of time and time again we see ICE agents and that department lying, and it's kind of nice to see Kristi Noem get fired. But killing American citizens is crazy, especially when he's trying to say you're protecting them. Because you could always say, you know, in their defenses, well, what about all the people that got killed by illegal immigrants? And it's like, well, what about the people you've killed? It's doing the same thing, you know what I mean? I want that tally on tally. That's a balance and weight of life. What do you think, Tom?
You know, why does ICE think like that they can just run around and be the judge, jury, and executioner of everything in this country? You know, we have well, we used to have a system of laws and rules, you know, that bound us all. You know, if somebody, you know, was was committing a crime or doing something illegally, they would be taken in, and then they would be put in front of a jury of their peers, and you know the result would be the result. But you know, under Donald Trump and under this shift towards fascism that we're seeing in the United States, you know, we're seeing that, you know, ICE agents, they're shooting first and asking questions later, and to be very very clear, that is not their role. That is not their role. ICE agents, they don't wear robes. They're not on juries. In fact, all they do is wear masks and shoot innocent people. That's all I see them doing, you know. So, listen, this has to stop. This has to stop. We have to, you know, we have to properly train people. We have to make sure that it is instilled in them. Hey, you can't just kill somebody that you don't like. But I guess that's, you know, here we are. You know, here we are. But it has to stop. It has to stop. There has to be serious, 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 serious reform in the way we do immigration enforcement in this country, and it's got to go down to the core of this agency. So, you know, it is again. I'll just reiterate what I've said in the past. This has to stop. It has to.
Agreed, Tom. Especially if we're talking like Tommy's saying, we have to reform it. A lot of times ain't the proper process, so we can go on and on about that we have the past couple weeks, so make sure you drop in our last episodes, watch them when you have free time. And we talk a lot about that too, with a lot of these past shootings and just It's disgusting. We can't keep killing American citizens. In my opinion, history will remember that. So, are you ready to go on a national topic too, Tommy, and have a quick Epstein update?
Yeah. Yeah, Donald Trump's in the Epstein files. Did you know that? Did you know that? I
I didn't
didn't
know
know that.
that.
You know,
Yeah.
I turned on Fox News and Newsmax. You know, I'm joking. I don't.
What?
I'm joking. I don't listen to that. But if I did, you know, all I would hear is, "Oh my God, exonerated, exonerated, exonerated." Man, you know, sometimes I wish I could be a Republican. You know, so I could look at the chaos of the world and just be like, "Nope, that's not true." You
Not
know,
to
like
me. Nope.
it must be nice. It must be nice being delusional. But Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. So, um, an NPR investigation revealed that the DOJ had withheld or removed dozens of pages from public databases containing records from Jeffrey Epstein and the Maxwell investigations. Following the report, the DOJ published more than 1,000 additional pages on March 5th. Um, this included 16 new pages detailing 3 FBI summaries with a woman who accused Trump of sexual abuse in the 80s when she was a minor. Um, so these were initially not disclosed, as again required by law, the Bipartisan Transparency Act. This was not disclosed. Just happens to be a coincidence and involves the President of the United States. You know, like um, so the newly released files provide more details on a woman's claim that around 1983, when she was 13, Epstein induced her to Trump. She alleged that Trump's forced her towards his exposed genitals, and she bit him. After which he allegedly struck her and ordered her to leave. Um, Despite the new release, NPR found that 37 pages of records are still missing from the public database, including interview notes, a law enforcement report, and a license record. Um, the DOJ initially stated that the withheld documents were privileged, duplicates, or related to an ongoing investigation. Um, so we know for a fact they're not investigating Donald Trump, so there's no ongoing investigation. Privileged, what privilege? And duplicates, huh? Um, Later admitting some were incorrectly coded as duplicates. That's really convenient. Um, White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt dismissed the allegations as completely baseless and sensationalist, stating that the releases of the files totally exonerated the president. You know, we just have these we just have these dozens and dozens of pages, you know, saying that you allegedly raped a minor, you know, but it completely exonerates you. You know, it's just crazy. Um, House Oversight Committee with support from both Democrats and Republicans voted subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi and explained. So there we go. There we go. Um, and that later played out. So listen, I just wanted to bring this. I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. You know, because you know it remains a fact that the Epstein cover up continues. You know, there's a lot of things going on in the Middle East. There's a lot of things going on domestically. There's lots of different noise going on right now. But the fact remains is, you know, they have not released all of these files as mandated under this Epstein Transparency Act. And you know, and just it just happens to be that some of the files that were not released did not look positive, did not look well for the current president. So listen, so there needs to be a complete and full investigation into all of these allegations. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Absolutely insane and disgusting that the sitting president of the United States is so wrapped up in this. You know, a couple nights ago, I was watching the deposition of Secretary Hillary Clinton, and she said, if I was a lawyer, I'd subpoena the president. You know, he's in these files hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of times. Why not subpoena him? And I think this is just another example of, you know, why there needs to be more transparency and why that transparency needs to build into something actionable, mainly accountability for people at the highest levels of power. So
Agreed, Tommy. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we talked about before how much Caroline Leavitt and this Pam Bondi will lie about it. I mean, it's funny because Leavitt gets so mad about the media, and she goes, "You guys will do anything to make Trump look bad," and it's like you will lie for him to make him look good. So you have no credibility. It doesn't matter. You know, I mean, you can't say, oh, he's been exonerated. There was some stuff that we've talked about that was definitely doesn't exonerate him then, and this doesn't exonerate him either. So, this is some disgusting stuff, and we really should, kind of like we've seen in other countries, and we've seen even in America, like CEOs getting fired, and people in corporations or boards getting let go. Everyone needs to be held accountable, even the president. So thank you for bringing that topic up. I'll go into our local topic one, which is about how Niles and local commissioners are pushing back on the water regionalization talks. Niles officials voiced concerns over regional water discussions. City leaders raised concerns at a recent council meeting surrounding possible, like I talked about before, regionalization of water services, saying any change could significantly affect the city's finances. Topic came up from Wednesday when Trumbull County Commissioners Danny Malloy and Rick Hernandez addressed City Council. Council President Doug Solato referenced reports that the county's 12-member water advisory panel had discussed regionalizing water services. Solato said Niles could face major financial consequences if such a plan moved forward. We would be the ones taking the biggest financial hit, he said, noting that other communities would benefit, while Niles would shoulder much of the impact. Council member Aaron Johnstone also expressed frustrations about how Niles was portrayed during the advisory panel meeting. He said the city had long taken pride in the role in providing water services and reminded officials that Niles made significant investments decades ago to maintain affordable water rates for its residents. To be specific, Johnstown pointed history from MVSD, Mahoning Valley Sanitary District, which began supplying water to member cities in the early 1930s after being created in 1926. Niles and Youngstown were among the original cities involved. He emphasized that water rates between communities are negotiated agreements rather than mandated agreements. Commissioner Malloy responded by saying that the county had not formally discussed regionalizing a system. He explained that the advisory board was created mainly to review the county's water department operations and address disparities in rates among different users. Malloy said he was unaware of the discussion and has been involved into concerns about regionalization and stressed that any major discussions would involve Niles officials. Councilmember Hernandez agreed, saying a full regional system would likely be impractical due to the number of communities involved and the significant infrastructure required. There are too many players in this situation, Hernandez said, adding that the complexity of the system makes it such a plan unlikely. He also noted that the county's water rates have not been increased in more than 10 years, and officials are looking at ways to keep them stable without placing such financial burdens on residents. That is county rates, so not like the city of Niles. The mayor of Niles, Steve, do you notice one, Tom? McKinowitz?
Yeah.
Said Niles had no intention of giving up its role of a water system unless an extremely large financial offer were made. A lot of times it's because, a lot of these cities make good money off water. We're not in a position to relinquish any part of the MBSD, he said. Council members added that past leaders took significant risks to establish and maintain a system. Those decisions were made to protect Niles residents. Malloy also concluded that there seems a misconception that Niles and Youngstown overcharge their communities. He said maintaining and upgrading aging infrastructure, some of which are more than a century old, will require corporations from all parties moving forward. And I see this at work a lot. That is true. A lot of this infrastructure is very old. If you want to get water to Niles from Youngstown, that's a decent trip, miles and miles, and that water might not be around populated areas anymore, or populated communities like it used to be, and there's so many more things that go into it. A lot of times, regional making a regional water district, it does help. We've seen in certain areas up north, all around. We've seen Aqua take up a lot of areas, which is a private company. But it really all depends. Like MVSD, a lot of people would say is the same thing. They're just talking about the county doing something even bigger than that. Which then you could definitely get problems with, and that's kind of why a lot of areas in northern Trumbull County get water from Warren, but a lot of areas in southern Trumbull County, McDonald, Niles, Girard, Liberty, some areas of Liberty, we get all of our water from MBSD that actually we buy from Niles. So that's something too. Like Niles knows, we sell this water to other communities at a little bit higher rate. We're used to making that profit, and we could put that into our money every year. Some of that is to upgrade that infrastructure. It's not like the water's going straight to Girard, and it's going to Niles and then Girard. So Girard, there is pipes, and there is certain reasoning to that. So I agree. It really all depends. Sanitary districts make sense too for certain areas. We've seen now here in Trumbull County, we have a whole sanitary engineer separate from our engineers now, and they do certain work. So it's kind of a county by county basis. We're not as big as some of these other areas outside of Cleveland, so it'd be kind of hard to do that, in my opinion. And like really, I don't know if it would help out people too much. It would help out people in Jordan McDonald that buy water from Niles, because then like the rate would be equal for everyone at that point. But then Niles like it's talking about they're gonna have issues with that, and unless you go in and you give Niles a lot of money, or you get new infrastructure going straight to McDonald and Gerard, kind of hard to do. And a lot of these projects are just needing to be done anyway from MBSD and even like Niles, these old water areas, even in Gerard. So I kind of get it, but I'm happy. City of Niles also spoke out about this because, like they said, they're one of the biggest players in the game. Same with Youngstown. So, it'll be interesting to see if being the county commissioners do this. They're not too smart, so maybe they just talked about it and like maybe they weren't understanding of what they were talking about, and then they backtracked on it. I wasn't there for the original meeting, so that'd be kind of interesting. So, what do you think, Tom? Another quick one.
Oh, it's I don't have too much to say about this, other than I hope that there's a solution that works for everybody, where people can get their water at a good price with infrastructure that's new, safe, and modern. It seems like to me to me that a county-wide regionalization type system might just be impractical. There might already just be too many hands in the cookie pot. You know what I mean? It might just be so intertwined. I don't really know. I don't really have a very strong opinion on it one way or another. Other
Agreed, Tom. And I think 1 second, our like thing kind of went out again. Our caps are. I'm gonna fix that. All right. We wanted a little bit quicker one tonight, kind of trying to get this to 45 minutes on some Mondays. Hope everyone's having a great night. Hope you enjoyed a local topic. We're also throwing an international topic out here. Funny what's funny about Christy. I'm happy to see her gone. So once again, week ahead news show, episode 53. It's March 9th, 2026. We'll be back here next Monday at 8:30. Try to be done at 9:15. Hope everyone has a great night. We'll be back also on a Northeast Ohio Sports Show at 8:30 this Thursday. Me and Hunter talking about some F1, some IndyCar, some cool stuff going on. Hope everyone has a great week. Hopefully, you get some more rays and nice weather here in Ohio. Peace, everybody.